Quincy is a city in Norfolk County, Massachusetts, United States. It is a major part of Metropolitan Boston and is Boston's immediate southern suburb. Its population in 2010 was 92,271, making it the 8th largest city in the state. Known as the City of Presidents, Quincy is the birthplace of two U.S. Presidents, John Adams and his son John Quincy Adams, as well as John Hancock, a president of the Continental Congress and the first signer of the Declaration of Independence. First settled in 1625, Quincy was briefly part of Dorchester and Boston before becoming the North Precinct of Braintree in 1640. In 1792, Quincy was split off from Braintree. The new town was named after Colonel John Quincy, maternal grandfather of Abigail Adams, and after whom John Quincy Adams was also named. Quincy became a city in 1888. For more than a century, Quincy was home to a thriving granite industry. The city was also the site of the Granite Railway, the United States' first commercial railroad. Shipbuilding at the Fall River Shipyard was another key part of the city's economy. In the 20th century, both Howard Johnson's and Dunkin' Donuts were founded in the city. History. Prior to the settlement of the area by English colonists, a hill east of the mouth of the Neponset River near what is now called Sswonk was the seat of the ruling Massachusetts sachem, or Native American leader, Chickatawbit, called Moswatusathamik. It was visited by Plymouth Colony Commander Miles Standish and Sswonk, a native guide, in 1621. 4 years later, a party led by Captain Wollaston established a post on a low hill near the south shore of Quincy Bay east of present-day Blacks Creek. The settlers found the area suitable for farming, as Chickatawbit and his group, who used the name Parsonagessed for the area, had cleared much of the land of trees. This settlement was named Mount Wollaston in honor of the leader, who soon after 1625 left the area bound for Virginia. The Wollaston neighborhood in Quincy still retains Captain Wollaston's name. Upon the departure of Wollaston, Thomas Morton took over leadership of the post, and the settlement proceeded to gain a reputation for debauchery with native women and drunkenness. Morton renamed the settlement Marie Mount and later wrote in reference to the conservative separatists of Plymouth Colony to the south who disapproved of his libertine practices that they were threatening to make it a woeful mound and not a merry mound. In 1627 Morton was arrested by Standish for violating the code of conduct in a way harmful to the colony and was sent back to England, only to return and be arrested by Puritans the next year. The area of Quincy now called Merry Mount is located on the site of the original English settlement of 1625 and takes its name from the punning name given by Morton. The area was first incorporated as part of Dorchester in 1630 and was briefly annexed by Boston in 1634. The area became Braintree in 1640, bordered along the coast of Massachusetts Bay by Dorchester to the north and Weymouth to the east. Beginning in 1708, the modern border of Quincy first took shape as the North Precinct of Braintree. Following the American Revolution, Quincy was officially incorporated as a separate town named for Col. John Quincy in 1792, and was made a city in 1888. In 1845 the Old Colony Railroad opened. The Massachusetts Historical Commission stated that the railroad was the beginning of a trend towards suburbanization. Quincy became as accessible to Boston as was Charlestown. The first suburban land company, Bellevue Land Co., had been organized in northern Quincy in 1870. Quincy's population grew by over 50% during the 1920s. Among the city's several firsts was the Granite Railway, the first commercial railroad in the United States. It was constructed in 1826 to carry granite from a Quincy quarry to the Neponset River in Milton so that the stone could then be taken by boat to erect the Bunker Hill Monument in Charlestown, Massachusetts. Quincy granite became famous throughout the nation, and stone cutting became the city's principal economic activity. Quincy was also home to the first iron furnace in the United States, the John Winthrop, Jr. iron furnace site, from 1644 to 1653. In the 1870s, the city gave its name to the Quincy Method, an influential approach to education developed by Francis W. Parker while he served as Quincy's superintendent of schools. Parker, an early proponent of progressive education, put his ideas into practice in the city's underperforming schools. 4 years later, a state survey found that Quincy's students were excelling. Quincy was additionally important as a shipbuilding center. Sailing ships were built in Quincy for many years, including the only 7-masted schooner ever built, Thomas W. Lawson. The Fall River area became a shipbuilding center in the 1880s, founded by Thomas A. Watson, who became wealthy as assistant to Alexander Graham Bell in developing the telephone. Many famous warships were built at the Fall River shipyard. Amongst these were the aircraft carrier USS Lexington, the battleship Sus, Massachusetts, now preserved as a museum ship at Battleship Cove in Massachusetts, and USS Nevada, and USS Salem, the world's last all-gun heavy warship, which is still preserved at Fall River as the main exhibit of the United States Naval Shipbuilding Museum. John J. Kilroy, reputed originator of the famous Kilroy Was Here graffiti, was a welding inspector at Fall River. Quincy was also an aviation pioneer thanks to Denison Field. Located in the Squantum section of town, it was one of the world's first airports and was partially developed by Amelia Earhart. In 1910, it was the site of the Harvard Area Meet, the second air show in America. It was later leased to the Navy for an airfield, and served as a reserve Squantum Naval Air Station into the 1950s. The Howard Johnson's and Dunkin' Donuts restaurant chains were both founded in Quincy. Celtic punk band Dropkick Murphys got its start in the city's Wollaston neighborhood in 1996. Quincy is also home to the United States' longest-running Flag Day Parade, a tradition that began in 1952 under Richard Koch, a former director of Parks and Recreation, who started the Koch Club sports organization for kids and had an annual parade with flags. Geography: Quincy shares borders with Boston to the north, Milton to the west, Randolph and Braintree to the south, and Weymouth and Hull to the east. Historically, before incorporation, when it was called Mount Wollaston, and later as the North Precinct of Braintree, Quincy roughly began at the Neponset River in the north and ended at the Fall River in the south. Quincy Bay, within city limits to the northeast, is part of Boston Harbor and Massachusetts Bay. There are several beaches in Quincy, including Wollaston Beach along Quincy Shore Drive. Located on the western shore of Quincy Bay, Wollaston Beach is the largest Boston Harbor beach. Quincy's territory includes Hangman Island, Moon Island, Nut Island, and Raccoon Island in the Boston Harbor Islands National Recreation Area. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 26.9 square miles, of which 16.8 square miles is land and 10.1 square miles is water. The total area is 37.60% water. Although Quincy is primarily urban, 2,485 acres of fully 23% of its land area lies within the uninhabited Blue Hills Reservation. a state park managed by the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation. This undeveloped natural area encompasses the southwestern portion of Quincy and includes the city's highest point, 517-foot Chickett-Orbit Hill. Other hills within Quincy include Forbes Hill in Wollaston, President's Hill in Quincy Center, and Penn's Hill in South Quincy. Climate. Demographics. As of the 2010 United States Census, there were 92,271 people, 38,883 households, and 42,838 families residing in the city, making it the 9th largest city in the state. The population density was 5,567.9 people per square mile. There were 42,838 housing units at an average density of 2,388.7 per square mile. The racial makeup of the city was 65.5% white, 4.6% African American, 0.16% Native American, 24.0% Asian, 0.02% Pacific Islander, 0.85% from other races, and 1.76% from 2 or more races. Hispanic or Latino of any race were 4.6% of the population. 33.5% were of Irish, 12.7% Italian, and 5.0% English ancestry according to Census 2000. 77.1% spoke only English, while 8.0% spoke Chinese or Mandarin, 2.6% Cantonese, 1.9% Spanish, 1.5% Vietnamese, and 1.3% Italian in the homes. There were 38,883 households, out of which 20.7% had children under the age of 18 living with them. 38.7% were married couples living together. 10.5% had a female householder with no husband present, and 47.2% were non-families. 37.6% of all households were made up of individuals, and 13.4% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.22 and the average family size was 3.03. In the city, the age distribution of the population shows 17.5% under the age of 18, 8.1% from 18 to 24, 36.1% from 25 to 44, 22.1% from 45 to 64, and 16.3% who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 38 years. For every 100 females there were 91.0 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 88.5 males. The median income for a household in the city was $59,803, and the median income for a family was $77,514. Males had a median income of $51,925 versus $44,175 for females. The per capita income for the city was $32,786. About 7.3% of families and 9.8% of the population were below the poverty line, including 13.7% of those under age 18 and 10.1% of those age 65 or over. Asian population. As of 2010, Quincy has the highest per capita concentration of persons of Asian origin in Massachusetts. As of 2003, about 60 66% of the Asians in Quincy are ethnic Chinese, giving the city one of the largest Chinese populations in the state. There is also a community of persons of East Indian origins, with most of them working in information technology and other skilled professions. There is also a growing number of people with Vietnamese origins in the area, as well as they make up the second largest Asian American group in Quincy. In 1980 there were 750 persons of Asian origin in Quincy. Most of the Asian immigrants coming in the 1980s originated from Hong Kong and Taiwan. In 1990, Quincy had 5,577 persons of Asian origin, with 143 of them being of East Indian origin. The number of Asians increased to 13,546 in 2000, with about 9,000 of them being ethnic Chinese, and 1,127 of them being ethnic East Indian. The latter group grew by 688%, making it the fastest-growing Asian subgroup in Quincy. Around 2003, most Asian immigrants were coming from Fujian province in mainland China instead of Hong Kong and Taiwan. At that time, Quincy had a higher Asian population than the Boston Chinatown. The overall Asian population increased by 64% in the following decade, to 22,174 in 2010. Quincy's Chinese population increased by 60% during the time period. Historically, Quincy residents traveled to shops in the Boston Chinatown, but by 2003 Asian shopping centers became established in Quincy. By 2003 New York City-based Camman Food was establishing a supermarket in Quincy. As of 2000, about 50% of Asians in Quincy own their own houses. Many who rent while saving money for down payments for the houses. 65% of the Chinese were homeowners, while only 10% of the East Indians were homeowners. As of 2003, slightly more than 2,500 Asian Americans in Quincy were registered to vote, making up almost 25% of Asians in the city who were eligible to vote. In the 1980s, some racial tensions, including violence between whites and Asians, occurred, and at the time the city did not employ any Asian police officers, leaving the Asian population to feel a lack of trust in the police. By 2003, the racial tensions had been greatly reduced, and the Quincy Police Department at the time had Asian officers. By 2003, Quincy Asian Resources Inc. planned to establish a newsletter for Asian residents. In 2011, Boston Chinatown Neighborhood Center, Inc. Executive Director Elaine Ng stated that the center would begin to offer services in Quincy. The number of persons using BCNC services residing in Quincy increased by almost 300% in a period beginning in 2004 and ending in 2005. Neighborhoods. Quincy is divided into numerous neighborhoods with individual histories and characteristics. Adams Shore was originally developed as a summer resort location and is now a year-round residential area. Germantown was the site of a former planned manufacturing community begun in the 1750s to encourage German immigration and is now a residential neighborhood. Sswonk is a northeastern peninsula community named for Atherton Huff, who was granted the land in 1636 for use as a farm and orchard. Sswonk has a substantial Irish-American population. Marina Bay is a residential commercial area developed in the 1980s on the site of the closed Naval Air Station Sswonk with high-rise condominiums, restaurants and a large marina. Marymount is a primarily residential neighborhood and the site of Quincy's initial settlement. Montclair is the northwestern section of the city along West Squantum Street, bordering the town of Milton. North Quincy is a residential and commercial neighborhood along Hancock Street and Quincy Shore Drive that includes a substantial Asian population, with substantial Asian business growth. Quincy Center is a commercial and government center of the city where City Hall, Thomas Crane Public Library, the Old Stone Church, Quincy Masonic Building, and numerous office buildings and residential streets can be found. Quincy Point is a densely populated residential area east of Quincy Center, with commercial areas along Quincy Avenue and Southern Artery. That is also the site of the Fall River Shipyard. South Quincy is a residential area bordering the town of Braintree that includes Crown Colony Office Park and Faxon Park, a wooded 66-acre protected space. Squantum is the peninsular northernmost part of Quincy, grew from being a summer resort adjacent to an early civilian, then military airfield into a year-round residential neighborhood. Squantum boasts one of the largest Irish-American populations, per capita, in the United States. West Quincy is a residential and commercial section with immediate access to Interstate 93 and the site of several former granite quarries. Now the Quincy Quarries Reservation, and the Granite Railway, first commercial railway in the United States. Wollaston, named for Captain Richard Wollaston, the leader of Quincy's original settlers, was an early rail-access commuter home for Boston workers that is now a densely populated residential and commercial area and site of Eastern Nazarene College. Economy. During its history, Quincy has been known as a manufacturing and heavy industry center, with granite quarrying dominating employment in the 19th century and shipbuilding at Fall River Shipyard and Squantum Victory Yard rising to prominence in the 20th century. The recent decades have seen a shift in focus to several larger employers in the financial services, insurance and healthcare sectors of the economy. Quincy is the location of the corporate headquarters of several firms, including Boston Financial Data Services, the Stop and Amp Shop supermarket chain, Arbela Insurance Group, and the Patriot Ledger, publisher, the South Shore's largest regional newspaper. Other major employers with offices in Quincy are State Street Corporation, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, and Boston Scientific. TACV, National Flag Carrier Airline of Cape Verde, has its United States corporate office in Quincy. Iceland Air has its North American headquarters in the city as well. Income data is from the 2009 to 2013 American Community Survey 5-year estimates. Government. Local Quincy has a strong mayor government. The incumbent mayor, Thomas P. Koch, has served since 2008. He is the 33rd mayor of the city. Mayors in the city were elected to 2-year terms. In 2013, the city's voters opted to extend the mayoral term to 4 years, beginning after the 2015 election. In addition to the mayor, the city has a 9-member city council. 6 councillors are elected to represent Quincy's wards, and 3 are elected at large. Councillors serve 2-year terms. The city also has a school committee with 7 members, the mayor and 6 members elected to staggered 4-year terms. State Quincy is represented in the Massachusetts State Senate by Democrat John F. Keenan. 4 members of the Massachusetts House of Representatives represent Quincy: Bruce Ayres, Taki Chan, Daniel Hunt, and Ronald Mariano. Each representative is a Democrat, and Mariano is the majority leader in the House. Education. Quincy is home to various educational institutions, public and private, including one early childhood education center, one Montessori school, one Catholic school, one college preparatory school, two colleges, Eastern Nazarene College, a private liberal arts and sciences college, and Quincy College, a private, localized college, two public high schools, 5 public middle schools, and 12 public elementary schools. In the 19th century, the city became an innovator in progressive public education with the Quincy method, developed by Francis W. Parker while he served as Quincy's superintendent of schools. 4 years after its implementation, a state survey found that Quincy students excelled at reading, writing, and spelling, and ranked 4th in their county in math. Higher education. The city is home to Eastern Nazarene College, a college of the liberal arts and sciences located in Wollaston Park. The college relocated to the area in 1919 from its original location in Saratoga Springs, New York, where it was established as a Holiness College in 1900. Quincy College, a community college in Quincy Center, operates under the auspices of the City of Quincy. The college is unusual in this respect, as it is the only one of Massachusetts' 16 community colleges to be run by a city rather than by the state. It is one of only 2 colleges in the United States organized this way. Public primary and secondary education. Public education at the primary and secondary levels is managed by Quincy Public Schools, a system that includes 1 early childhood center, 11 elementary schools, 5 middle schools and 2 high schools. Public high schools. North Quincy High School, Quincy High School. Public middle schools. Atlantic, Broad Meadows, Central, Point Webster, Ray, Sterling. Public elementary schools. Private and alternative education. Private and alternative education institutions for children in preschool 8th grade include Quincy's 3 Catholic schools, Sacred Heart, St. Anne and St. Mary. Because of declining enrollment and the ongoing economic crisis, the 3 merged to form the Quincy Catholic Academy, which opened in September 2010, at the site of the Sacred Heart School. The Woodward School for Girls is a non-sectarian college preparatory day school for girls in grades 6 to 12. Campus Kinder House is operated by the Eastern Nazarene College on its Old Colony campus. The Adams Montessori School is open for children of preschool through elementary school age. For a number of years, the Fall River Apprentice School was operated at the Fall River Shipyard to teach its students how to work in the shipyard. Public libraries. The Thomas Crane Public Library serves as the public library system of Quincy, Massachusetts. Supplementary education. Peter J. established the Quincy Chinese Language School, which offers supplementary education for Chinese children, in 1988. As of 2003, it holds Cantonese language classes for 150 students at the Sacred Heart School in North Quincy on Saturday mornings. The school at one time had 400 students, but the school reduced itself in size when a lack of qualified teachers occurred. The Changyi School is another Chinese school in Quincy. As of 2008, the headmaster is Harry Kwan, who originated from Hong Kong. That year, the school had 100 students and charged $100 per child per month for Chinese language and culture after-school classes. It was first established around 1996. The school was briefly closed by the Quincy Police Department in November 28. 2008 due to a lack of Massachusetts state and local government permits. After the state and municipal authorities cleared the school of allegations of child abuse, it was scheduled to reopen that year. In December 2002, the Vrindavana Preservation Society established the Vaishnava Academy, which caters to Quincy's East Indian community and offers courses for children. Subjects include the Hindi language, Indian dance and music, and yoga.